All right, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome on back. Continuing along our crazy Wednesday here in the Cyber Group room and streaming across Facebook and YouTube alike, guys. Welcome on back for our afternoon meeting. Let's get a quick chat back just to begin and make sure everyone can hear me loud and clear. Of course, the Fed decision just being announced within the last 30 or so minutes. Great to see everybody here. Dom, Pat, Jerry, Amy, Jose, Bonnie, Ron, Mark, great to see you all. Anthony, William as well. Perfect. All right. And of course, everybody, like I said, streaming across social media, Facebook and YouTube here. As you can see here, guys, a nice reaction across the market once the Fed decision was reached. In fact, no rates being changed now and perhaps not up until really 2022. They were saying at least that they see the interest rates staying near zero through 2022. And along with that, the GDP bouncing up to 5% across the next year. So, normally once we see the Fed meeting, finish up regardless of decision, raise, drop the rates, unchanged, we see, much like at the market open, a big fluctuation in price. And that just goes across the market and the stocks that follow it. But of course, afterwards, much like, waiting the first few or so minutes after the opening bell, you could see where the Dow ended up pushing a higher high through 27.2. It's only pushed up, 150 points, 100 points thus far, but hopefully we see continuation going into the end of the day. Hey, there is typically a lot of hesitation going into the Fed meeting. So, that's where I was telling you guys here in the trading room, at least earlier today, that, although we had a bunch of stocks that ran, in terms of following the market, I'm going to sit on my hands at least until after 2 o'clock. And, for right now, we've seen a positive reaction, but hopefully there could be more to it. So, this would be a good market or a good day to follow, the stock or the sideless stocks, so to say, the stocks that tend to move better with the major indices. What I'm referring to here is not just even the cruise lines, airlines, casinos. We go through those already, but in fact, more often than not, off of the Fed meetings, we tend to see metallics make a really big move. In particular, Nugget, gold mining ETF here, Nugget, JNUG moving up, all of the gold mining stocks moving up with it. Perhaps a stock like Newmont Mining ended up making a big move up from 55.80 up to 57.80, 2 points higher. Here's a silver stock that I just called out a second ago in the trading room, PAAS, Pan American Silver. Fausto loves trading this stock himself. Ended up making the same type of move, right? So this would not only be a good day to follow the sideless stocks, but to follow the metals altogether. Gold, silver, you name it. So, we'll come back to these just at the very end. I'd like to just go from top to bottom across the gainers and losers list. Whoops. There we go. And see if there's anything else that will just join the list here to begin. Of course, as we do that and as we kind of just begin by recapping the picks from the morning, we'll begin to go through what moved, what didn't, why it ended up moving for a bit. All right, guys. So what we'll do is start off with number one really here. JFIN up 479% still at this point in the day. Now, the thing with this, and I'll go back to the pre-market charting here at least. I could have sworn I saw the post from Ben earlier in our trading room that there's really no reason, no news as far as why this stock is making the type of move that it's made. I want to just look in the chat board here if I can really quickly, guys. What is this? JIAYAN? Oh, YIN. Whoops. Yeah, so, Pat, I'm sorry, Pat wrote it. He says from the chat board, Giant Group shares up 700+%. Company spokesman tells Benzinga that is not aware of why the stock rallied. Notes company to report earnings Thursday. So Thursday morning, tomorrow rather, we'll see JFIN earnings before the open. But there's no specific news as to why this ended up making the type of run that it made. I mean, this is like the third straight day that we've seen a stock like this, guys. Ben just called out the NKLA trade, which, of course, we've been talking about for a long while, formerly VTIQ, but that stock broke all-time highs and ran yesterday. What was it? I think it was the IMRN trade, if I'm not mistaken. From, gap up, running up from basically around $7, maybe $8 there off that low on the daily chart, all the way up to, over 25, up to close to 30. I think the high was like around 29 at the time. This week's been incredible, guys, with all of these, high flying stocks, but at the same time, we got to realize that we're going to see sell-off. We're going to see people look to take profits. And the scary part about a lot of these high flyers is that, well, they come back down twice as fast as they had moved up. And oftentimes on a pump and dump type move like this, we oftentimes tend to see the stock close lower than it actually started off with, than it had opened up. So JFIN, for those of you that were brave enough to trade this and jump in and out with a profit, of course, congratulations. If you ended up losing on this trade, it's nothing to be ashamed of. This thing was all over the place, especially after the move up to 29 or 30 or so there. As it ended up pulling back, the volume died off, and well, at least now the volume picked up, but the other way around. So you could see once support broke essentially off the lows there around 21, 20 bucks there. It was holding above there pretty nicely. The wheels fell off. So, I hope nobody's caught on this JFIN trade. This thing's been nasty across the whole day. And it got really quick. It's going to halt right now. This is exactly why, guys, I just got to say, for all of our new members joining us here, new trial members in our live trading room, and even from that point, once you begin to enroll into our classes, this is the last thing that we would want you guys to actually look to trade. It's great to see a stock move up this much and to see traders jump in and out with a huge profit. Oh, my goodness, congrats. It could be life-changing money, but think about it the other way around. It could be life-changing money the other way around. So, for as much as the stock moved up, we can't really expect to see this make a second big squeeze up going into the close. I mean, maybe if it's breaking all-time highs and it was pushing through that next resistance, but it did not do that. It's not break a new high. In fact, it ended up breaking lower. So, again, that's what we talk about in class, but we go through the same patterns that JFIN was making today on slower moving stocks that are steadier even than this, and stocks that provide better opportunity for you to follow along, to follow the orders on the ECN book, to follow the big prints on the time and sales. So as you can see, the JFIN trade is now halted. And for that, we're not going to put this on our list at this point. All right. So let's keep going here, guys. Another one. I said this before, wins, right? WINS. I think this was another China stock, though. Ended up making a huge rally early on and super low volume. Ended up dumping back down here. So again, this point we're going to pass. Now, DPW is up a lot earlier on today. We're not going to put this on our list as well at this point, but let's recap this while we can, at least a little bit more in depth. So DPW had very tight spread, very liquid order book. As you could see here live right now, it still is on a penny spread, big orders at pretty much every price level. This, again, it was pretty volatile, so it wasn't level 1, but it was probably, level 2 to 3, good enough for a lot of us here in the trading room to try and capitalize on after the market opened. So for a stock up as much as DPW was, got to expect for it to pull back at 930, and we ended up seeing just that. But we ended up seeing this begin to break back above resistance from 5, and it was holding around that 5 level throughout the pre-market. And once it ended up breaking through that 5 resistance, liftoff. So DPW ended up making a huge squeeze up from that essential major resistance up towards high of the day 650. Unfortunately, though, much like the rest, it started to come back down. And look at this thing now. I mean, it's filling the gap completely just from the pre-market. And when I say gap, of course, this had a lot of activity on the intraday chart, but on the daily chart here, I'm referring to just the remains of this gap fill here. So wouldn't surprise me, guys, to see this test 3, maybe bounce around 3 here for a bit, but perhaps even break lower later on. All right, let's keep it moving, guys. What else do we have? The GPAQW. Surprised I got that in one shot. GPAQW leads me to say that there's just regular GPAQ because this would be the warrants. Yeah, I mean, it's only up 11%, whereas the warrants are up 107%. That's pretty interesting. You normally don't see that type of discrepancy. Yeah, we're not going to put this one on. The warrants as well. I mean, tight spread. Order book is not scarce really at all, but it's really flat. So we're going to pass on that as well for right now. Oof, look at this. Talk about good timing. Now, Ben called it out in the chat board just before. He wrote MFH pop and halt. I didn't see that until right now. So Good timing, at least for the meantime here, guys. MFH, we will easily just put on our list here for right now. Hopefully it doesn't dump back down twice as fast as it's moved up so far. When this reopens up, I would expect a bit of a pullback, perhaps down to 350, perhaps underneath that. And then at that point, hopefully to see this make a new run back up off the reopen. All right, so let's keep it going, guys. MFH is halted. That will reopen up pretty shortly. The Chris trade, and let's go over Chris pretty quickly. Nice run from earlier on today. We were watching this early on in pre-market, holding underneath resistance, a couple of them at the time. It's easier to see on the chart for this trade. We actually had some larger orders on the ask right off of these price levels here, 240, and then from there 250. Of course, blasted through both, eventually squeezed all the way up towards the first high of the day here, 320. And hey, this ended up making a continued move up, ended up making a second big move up where we normally don't tend to see that for, a small cap stock like Chris. So, ended up continuing up from basically 250-ish, that support, all the way up towards 359. And of course, now right back down. So unfortunately, the run is done on Chris. I'm sure we'll come back to this trade. What's today, Wednesday? Probably not tomorrow. My guess would be, if not Friday, then probably early next week. It would not surprise me whatsoever, at least there, to see the Chris trade back on the gainers list at some point, like I'd said, either at the very end of this week or, maybe in the beginning of next for a second little move back up. AVCT ended up popping earlier today as well. This was a pre-market pick. We had this on our pre-market watch list. We didn't focus on this right off the bat at 9:30. Of course, although it ended up doing just that, it broke out really nicely, ended up getting halted on the way up, and from that point, pulled back a bit after, and then from there made a continued move after that from there. So from 350 ended up moving all the way up towards an eventual high 688. The danger again with these small cap stocks, the volume craps out so quick. So, normally that leaves a lot of traders hanging, meaning that the stock isn't as likely just to consolidate and take its sweet time to drop back down. It's going to have some nasty shakes to it. So AVCT moved up. Once we ended up hitting around 10:30 Eastern time, the wheels fell off, the volume died off, so the stock. So again, same thing with with this, as I just mentioned on Chris. Wouldn't surprise me some point later on this week, Friday, maybe early next week, Monday, Tuesday, see it make a little move back up again. Oh man, CLDX is also falling apart as well. This was more of an afternoon run, as you guys could see here. A few of us were on the ball pretty early on from this breakout from $4.20, and ended up making a really big move. One of the better ones across the whole day. Again, though, it's pulling back. I'm going to put this on our list for right now. Not too enthusiastic with that, but I'm going to put this on our list because it's made a more recent move up. Perhaps this could find some support around 450, make a bounce back up closer to 5. So that's an opportunity. I wouldn't mind putting it on our list for right now. I think the MFH is a lot more interesting as of right now, and perhaps, or hopefully, plenty of others here coming up. All right, so I keep going, guys. Let's just try and skim through the rest of the gainers list here while we can. Pets, not really doing too much right now. Clips, low volume, squeezed up a little bit there. I saw the JRJC called out, another China stock, ended up popping early on, but dumping right back down. Now, I saw the call out. Yep, here we go. Mara and Riot, two blockchain technology-related stocks, ended up making a big move earlier on this morning. Popped, of course, right now. We'll turn to Riot, RIOT. There we go. Beautiful. All right, guys. Very nice. So, you know what? I think for the first time in all the years that we've been following these blockchain-related stocks, we rarely see these stocks make afternoon runs. I don't want that to, I don't want to put fear in anyone by saying that, because so far it's made a very nice run up, and history has a tendency to repeat itself. So for all of the times that we've seen Riot make these dinky little moves going into the early afternoon, I told you guys, and you'll probably go back on these past meetings on YouTube and listen to it and see, we try to avoid these stocks going into the early afternoons. But I'll tell you, this has as much momentum in it right now as I've ever seen at this point in the day for Riot and Mara. So I think both will certainly put on our list, focus on both together. I thought DPW was blockchain related stock also, guys. It was, at least a while back. I put the link in our trading room just earlier this morning. I think from as of March 2020, I think that DPW, the stock here, top percent gainer right now, they disassociated themselves with the cryptocurrency business. So usually all three would move together. All right, so we got Riot, we got Mara. Let's see, guys. Anything else? I don't want anything too cheap. We got FCell, which popped earlier. FCell made a huge run up. I thought FCell had earnings yesterday morning. I had it on my earnings calendar. I didn't see any results, though. Maybe they moved their earnings. I don't see anything on Benzinga Pro even from here. But either way, I don't really care as much about the news. I care about the pop and the trend and the momentum up to resistance at 3. We ended up taking entries off of 3 here. And normally I would expect a false breakout perhaps from that point. So it's worth the entry, but it's always good to have a tight stop set right underneath you. No stop really, well, stop is always needed, but it wasn't taken out. This thing ended up pushing up very nicely from 3 up towards high of the day, 337. You know, it's made a more recent run up compared to market open, but for right now, I'm going to pass on putting this on our list. This BE trade was pushing up all throughout the day today. Steady trend, at least off the lows, basically from 850 up to 1050 and pulling back now. You know what? I'm going to put this on our list. Energy stock, a lot of the energy stocks have been moving of late, of course, but with BE, as much as this has moved up, it is shortable. So if it ends up crapping out the other way, which of course, as you could see, it's kind of started to do here thus far, I would assume major support off of 10, even though it just broke through the level. I'd be pretty careful of shorting right around here right now. But, you know, either way, you know, it's still kind of holding higher lows. Look to see if this could begin to push back up, or if it doesn't and re-breaks below 10 coming up later on, then perhaps it could be a better short opportunity. All right, let's see. Anything else on the gainer side? RADA, Israeli defense stock. Not really doing much. Blink popped earlier. Pulled back quite a bit. Lake ran from earlier today as well. Dumping off, though. All right, guys, let's hop over to the losers list, see if there's anything looking good on that side. A bunch of stuff hard to borrow, which normally I tend to skip over. But with the markets pushing up here a bit, and we'll check back in on the Dow before we finish up, I wanted to look at some stocks like WLL, take a look at maybe Hertz, Naked from yesterday, see if they're going to make a bit of a bounce at some point. See Hertz squeezed up right after 2 o'clock, but it pulled back down pretty sharply. Naked doing nothing right now. That IMRN trade from yesterday, same thing. All right. Guess shortable 5.3 million shares. I mean, very tradable stock. It is pulling back down pretty nicely, similar to BE in essence. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to just not put this on our list for right now. We don't have too many stocks on our list at this point. I'm sure, again, we'll check back in on the side list stocks before we finish up, not just the casinos, the airlines, cruise lines, but the metallics as well, like I'd said. TCO we'll get to. I saw Dom in our trading room all over this TCO trade. You know, I mean, we'll zoom in on the chart because from a zoomed out perspective, it looks in a tighter range. But given the price, it's been moving around from 35 to 37.25-ish, pulling back down to 36. So, you know, definitely it's been moving. You know, for right now, though, bit of a spread fluctuating up and down. Order book is fairly scarce and thin. So if you made money on this trade earlier today and want to stick with this going into the close, go for it, please. I would actually encourage that. But for those that didn't, though, I would say focus on others, though, at this point. UNFI looks like a nice pattern of lower highs from 19 to 1850, hopefully down to a break to 1750 support. This also has a bit of a scarce order book and a fluctuating spread, but this seems more poised to make a bit of a squeeze lower going into the close. I mean, it's just been holding 1750 the whole time. It's been making lower highs across the day. Prettier pattern on the chart. So for right now, at least, UNFI will make the list. And I think that might just about do it. at least on gainers and losers side here. If there's anything else, guys, you would want me to check out, certainly let me know. That just goes across the board for the trading room here first, and then I'll dip into social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, anybody else there. Let's see, from Brian saying Riot, new high of the days. So just checking back in on Riot. Woof, look at that, guys. All right. So very nice. Nice run so far. Looks like resistance. We have a couple of orders on the ask, 325, 333, two big ones. So for right now, I would consider that to be the next range of resistance from there. I would assume 350 to be the next big one. All right, Terrence Q in our trading room here saying on the PAAS trade, my platform's a little slow right now, I think. I don't know what's happening. Terrence is saying he picked up some money, though. He got in a 5 cents profit, 2 cents for you, scalping it. Picking up, just about 20 cents total, though. Very nice, Terrence. All right, great. Right off the 28 level, broke out pretty nicely. So with that in mind, I will certainly put PAAS at least, and then I might just put metals, metals all together. I mean, really, check back in on Nugget, gold mining ETF. What are some of the other gold stocks, guys? I got AU, NEM. I think there's Ego, Sand. Those are slower moving stocks, more like level 1. George says AUY. That's right. AUY, definitely remember. And Jeff saying GDX. GDX, I believe, is an ETF. But, of course, gold mining, right, in the same sector. So I think GDX is cheaper than Nugget. Yep, here's Sand. Gold stock, at least. Sandstorm Gold. Nice little push up so far. All right, so we're going to put metals all together, guys. I will, in the trading room, at least make a more specific list of stocks. I mean, a lot of you guys are putting them here in the trading room right now. I'll follow up just once we're done. All right, Bank of America is dropping off nicely. New low of the day now on Bank of America. It's name brand, but I'll tell you, I mean, beautiful trend. It is shortable, so at this point, why not? We also have KS. We got a couple stocks breaking new lows here too. Yeah, KSS, new low of the day. Kohl's. I'm sure Macy's perhaps following in suit with it. And pulling back down. Big support at 820, it seems like. This definitely looks like it's going to follow in suit, though. I wouldn't mind throwing KSS on our list just to begin, though, as well, alongside the Bank of America trade. Ben picking up 28 cents on Bank of America right here. So we'll turn back to that. Ben just posted in our chat board right here. He picked up 28 cents. His entry was right off 27. So my assumption is that Ben ended up getting this right off the break from 27 here. Maybe he'll let me know otherwise. But as soon as it broke down below support, jumped in. It held as resistance either way and dropped off nicely. He covered. All right, great. Let's see, guys. What else do we have? Saw a couple more on our chat board here. Ben says JFIN, not even a dead cat bounce. Let's look at that quick. Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, it wouldn't surprise me. Pulling back lower and lower at this point. Oh, you know what? Let's check back in. MFH. Jerry pocketed 40 cents on MFH. He got in from 415. Oh, that's MFG. There we go. MFH. Nice. So Jerry jumped in at 415. I don't know what time exactly in terms of the chart, but made some good money. Got out at 450 either way. Now it's pulling back. I'm going to keep this on our list for right now, guys. I just hope that this doesn't dump back down entirely. All right. Grant, our gold mining wizard, and Bonnie helping along the way as well, guys. So I appreciate the help from Grant and Bonnie in the chat board here. We got one from YouTube. I'm just checking in right now on social media from a few minutes ago here. GFI. Want to look in on GFI quick. Yeah, Goldfields. So another gold stock. Perfect. And actually, Bonnie had that on her list here in the trading room. I'm just cross-checking the chat boards here, guys. But yeah, GFI. Good call as well. All right, Bank of America, another new low. I'm getting pinged from Benzinga right now, guys. So you know what? I think we're going to finish this meeting up as is. We got a lot to work with, guys. So in total, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 different stocks just to begin, and that's aside from all of the metal stocks, the gold, the silver stocks, the ETFs, of course, that we tend to follow as well. So a big list going into the afternoon, guys. As I always like to say to finish this meeting up, let's try and close out this day just as well as we opened it up. Before we part ways, though, guys, really quick. And from George here saying TS. George, Bonnie's referring to TradeStation. TS, we abbreviate. Before we part ways, I just wanted to welcome aboard a bunch of our new students joining Cyber Trading University today. I wanted to welcome aboard Gregory R. I wanted to welcome aboard George C., who just wrote in the chat board here. Welcome aboard, George. I wanted to welcome aboard Ray D. from Texas. And I wanted to welcome aboard Keith H. from North Carolina. Welcome aboard, everybody, to CTU. All right, so as I'd said yesterday, I believe, welcome aboard other students from yesterday. Keep in mind, guys, for anybody joining and enrolling in Cyber Trading University, keep in mind that we tend to do live classes every single month. We tend to record all of our classes every single month and post them right on your dashboard shortly after. So what I would recommend to all of our newly enrolled students would be to go right into the class recordings, start off with the very first lesson. Phase 1, lesson number 1 is basically square one for you to begin. All right, guys, so your education advisor will look to give you a quick call today if they haven't already done so to walk you through not just the trading room at this point now, but our entire course library. All right, guys, and for everybody else tuning in on social media, keep in mind, if you'd like to learn more about what we offer here at Cyber Trading University, not only do we do these audio broadcast meetings every day, 9 a.m., 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, but make sure that you call the phone number down below on the banner. One of our education advisors will pick up, and actually, I think it's a different banner this time, in fact, here on the live stream here. So let me post the phone number right here in the YouTube, Facebook chat board here, guys. That is 516-280-5350. That is our office line. Once again, 516-280-5350. One of our education advisors will gladly pick up and provide more detail. All right, guys, let's close out this day nicely. Take care.